let's stay here. Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. Game one of the Aces Liberty matchup on Sunday drew an average of 929,000 viewers. It's a good number for the WNBA on an NFL Sunday. However, that was down nearly 50% from last Sunday's Fever Sun contest. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well.
She's white. She's got two parents. And according to Asia Wilson and the other Yas queens, she won't bow to black women. She won't acknowledge her privilege.
Caitlin Clark has always been a name synonymous with excitement in basketball. When she's on the court, eyes are glued, hearts race, and no one can predict what she's going to do next. Now, with the recent news of her contract with a European basketball team, the sports world is buzzing. ESPN's announcement that Caitlin Clark would be taking her talents to Europe sent shockwaves through the basketball community. This move isn't just a career shift for Clark. It's a statement that goes beyond the hardwood, challenging norms and opening a fresh chapter in her journey. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Caitlin Clark has built her reputation on her flashy yet precise play style, with an ability to make moves that leave defenders stumbling. She's the kind of player who can sink a three-pointer from what feels like another zip code or thread the needle with a pass that slices through defenses. Fans have followed her every dribble, shot, and assist from her college days in Iowa, and now they're getting ready to watch her take on a new challenge overseas. This European contract isn't just a career lead for Clark. It's a seismic event in the basketball universe. The implications of this move are massive. For years, Europe has been a fertile ground for developing basketball talent, but it has also been the destination where American players go to refine their game, to stretch themselves against different styles, and to absorb the unique aspects of international play. Caitlin Clark's decision to head to Europe speaks to her ambition and hunger for growth. She isn't just content being a big fish in a familiar pond. She's diving into the deep end of a much larger ocean. Her move will likely encourage other young players to consider the benefits of gaining experience abroad, setting a trend that could shift the dynamics of talent development. Clark's contract is reportedly one of the most lucrative deals offered to a young basketball player in Europe. This says a lot about her value and how highly she's regarded not just in the U.S., but worldwide. The financial terms are rumored to be groundbreaking, the kind of numbers that make even seasoned players do a double take. This isn't just a salary. It's a statement that Caitlin Clark is one of the sport's future pillars. The European team's investment in her is a testament to their belief that she can not only elevate their game but also draw more international eyes to their league. But let's pause here for a moment and talk about Caitlin herself. Clark's personality is as vibrant as her game. She's got that swagger that comes with knowing she can pull off the impossible, yet she keeps a hint of playfulness that makes her relatable. You can tell she enjoys the chaos she creates on the court, the way she can make defenders look like they're trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. Her humor shines through in her interviews too, where she often throws in a witty remark or a side-eye glance that says, "Yeah, I know I just did that." This blend of confidence and lightheartedness makes her a fan favorite, the kind of player people love to root for. In this new European chapter, Clark will not just be a player but a cultural ambassador of the game. She's taking her brand of basketball across the ocean, where the sport is played with a slightly different rhythm. European basketball is more technical, more disciplined, and often places a stronger emphasis on team play and fundamentals. For Clark, this is both a challenge and an opportunity. She'll be tested in ways that the American game didn't test her. She'll face defenses that focus on shutting down individual stars, forcing her to adapt and evolve. The move is also a smart career choice when you think about the global exposure it brings. By playing in Europe, Clark is expanding her fan base beyond the U.S. borders, introducing herself to a whole new audience who might have only seen her highlight reels on social media. She's planting her flag in a territory that loves its basketball with a passion that matches her own. For the European League, having someone like Caitlin Clark means an influx of American viewers who will tune in just to see what she'll do next. It's a win-win, a kind of basketball diplomacy where both sides stand to gain. The timing of this contract is also significant. Women's basketball is at a turning point globally, with increased attention, investment, and respect coming its way. Caitlin Clark's move adds fuel to that fire. It's as if she's saying that this isn't just about chasing a paycheck. It's about making moves that will elevate the entire sport. Her presence in Europe could accelerate the growth of women's basketball there, inspiring young girls who now have a new role model to look up to. It's not just about her individual success, but the ripple effect she could create, influencing the next generation of talent. Clark's move to Europe also has strategic implications for her future career. Many basketball players who go to Europe come back to the U.S. with a more refined game, more polished skills, and a broader understanding of different play styles. They return not just as better players but as seasoned veterans who face the unexpected and learn to adapt. For Caitlin, this could mean coming back to the U.S. even stronger, with new tools in her arsenal that she's picked up along the way. It's a move that screams long-term planning, a chess game where she's thinking several moves ahead. The impact on her former teammates and the NCAA women's basketball scene is also worth noting. Caitlin Clark's departure leaves a significant gap, a star-shaped void that won't be easy to fill. But it also opens up opportunities for other players to step up and shine. Her presence had set a high standard, and now that she's taking her talents abroad, the challenge for those left behind is to rise to that level. Her influence will still be felt in the NCAA, even if she's no longer physically there, as players will aim to emulate her competitive spirit and relentless drive. Caitlin Clark's new contract is not just a big deal for her or her team. It's a big deal for the basketball landscape itself. It hints at a future where the best talents don't have to follow the traditional paths, where the NBA or WNBA aren't the only destinations for top players. Europe is becoming a legitimate option, a place where a player can build their legacy just as strongly as they could in the States. And with Clark leading the way, it might not be long before we see more athletes opting to play overseas, exploring opportunities that once seemed far-fetched. One can only imagine the kind of cultural adjustments Clark might have to make as she dives into European life. The different languages, the change in cuisine, the soccer-crazed fans who might now also become basketball enthusiasts. All these factors will play into her experience. Knowing Clark's personality, though, she'll probably take it all in stride, throwing in her own bit of humor as she navigates her way through these new experiences. Her adaptability on the court might just mirror her adaptability off it, as she embraces the new culture while bringing a bit of her American flair to it. This move also shines a light on how much women's sports, especially basketball, are progressing in Europe. With high-profile contracts like Clark's making headlines, it sends a message that the level of investment and attention in women's sports is reaching new heights. It's a sign of the changing times, where female athletes are getting the recognition and the resources they've long deserved. Caitlin Clark's deal isn't just a milestone for her, but a beacon for every young girl who dreams of making it big in sports, regardless of geographical boundaries. Clark's transition to European basketball also comes with a layer of tactical intrigue. She's known for her on-court vision and ability to anticipate plays like she's reading the defense's minds. In Europe, she'll face a style that's more about methodical execution than just raw speed and power. This will likely refine her already impressive playmaking skills, adding a layer of tactical depth to her game that will make her an even more formidable opponent. Imagine the look on her future opponents' faces when they realize that not only can she shoot the lights out, but now she's also mastered the chess game of international basketball. This decision also throws a curveball at her competitors back in the U.S., just as they thought they had a handle on how to counter Caitlin Clark. She's off to develop skills they can't study until she brings them back. She's essentially going to the basketball equivalent of a secret training camp. Only this camp happens to be an entire continent away. And when she does return, her rivals might find themselves facing a player who has seen things, who's taken her game through a metamorphosis in the crucible of European competition. For her new European teammates, playing alongside Caitlin Clark will be both a privilege and a challenge. Her style is fast, dynamic, and demands everyone around her to keep up or risk getting left in the dust. She's the type of player who lifts her team with her energy and precision, making them better simply by being on the court. Her new team will have to match her intensity, her desire to win, and her commitment to pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the game. But with that challenge comes the opportunity to be part of something special, a team led by one of the most exciting talents in modern basketball. What's intriguing is how this decision is bound to resonate across different layers of the sports industry. For young athletes watching from the sidelines, Clark's journey to Europe is like a map being redrawn right before their eyes. Until now, the path to success in basketball seems straightforward. shine in college, get drafted into the WNBA, and then spend her career in the States. But Caitlin Clark has taken that map and tossed it out the window, showing that there's more than one way to make a name in this sport. She's opened the door for others to explore, to think outside the boundaries, and to pursue greatness in places they might never have considered before. One of the most remarkable aspects of this transition is the challenge it presents to the traditional narrative of the American basketball player. Typically, U.S. athletes have seen Europe as a fallback option, a place to go if the NBA or Go NBA didn't pan out as hoped. Clark's move flips that idea on its head. For her, Europe isn't a backup plan, it's the main stage. She's going there by choice, not necessity, and that distinction is powerful. It suggests a future where Europe isn't just an alternative for players whose careers need revitalizing, but a destination where peak talents go to continue their ascent. Imagine the kind of culture shock Clark will face upon entering the European basketball world. The fans there are known for their passion, their relentless support, and sometimes their unpredictability. European arenas buzz with a different kind of energy, one that mixes the precision of chess with the chaos of a street party. For Clark, who has been used to the American style of fandom, this will be like jumping into a whole new universe. Yet, knowing her, she'll likely thrive on that chaos, feeding off the crowd's energy, letting it fuel her game in ways that even she might not expect. Caitlin's arrival in Europe also sets a new benchmark for the leagues she's joining. For the European basketball scene, this isn't just an addition to their roster. It's a marquee event. They're not just welcoming a player. They're bringing in a phenomenon, a talent whose very presence could draw more eyes to their league. Clark's move could lead to an increase in viewership from international audiences, partnerships with sponsors who see the untapped potential in European women's basketball, and a heightened sense of competition within the league itself. Other teams will want to step up their game simply because Caitlin Clark is now in the mix. But let's not forget about the tactical chess game that's about to unfold on the court. Clark's basketball IQ is through the roof, and her ability to read the game like an open book is what makes her truly special. As she steps into this new arena, she'll face teams that play with a different tempo and a focus on strategic positioning that isn't always seen in the U.S. leagues. Defenses that have been known to choke out even the most aggressive offenses will now have to deal with Clark's unpredictability. For European coaches, it'll be a fascinating puzzle to solve. How to neutralize a player who's just as likely to pull up from 30 feet as she is to drive through the lane with grace. What's most exciting is the prospect of how Caitlin Clark's game will evolve under these conditions. The European style might emphasize slower, more methodical play, but Clark's instincts will add a spark of chaos to that order. Picture her navigating through a defense that prides itself on structure, only to dismantle it with a single no-look pass or a sudden burst of speed. The potential for growth is enormous, and if there's one thing Clark has shown time and time again, it's that she thrives when pushed to adapt. In Europe, she will have the freedom to expand her toolkit, incorporating elements of finesse and strategic patience into her already explosive skill set. As Caitlin Clark adjusts to life in Europe, the off-court experiences will shape her as much as the on-court challenges. She'll find herself in a melting pot of cultures, surrounded by teammates who speak different languages, share different traditions, and bring their own basketball philosophies to the table. It's here that the real learning begins. It's not just about drills and practice. It's about absorbing the ethos of a continent that approaches the game with a unique flavor. This cultural exchange will enrich Clark's perspective, offering her new ways to see the game she already knows so well. For her new teammates, playing alongside Caitlin Clark will be a unique experience. They'll get to witness up close the fire that drives her, the sharpness of her basketball mind, and the ease with which she makes the extraordinary look routine. Clark's arrival isn't just a shift for the team, it's a transformation. She'll push them, challenge them, and elevate their level of play simply by being there. The pressure to keep up with her pace will demand that her teammates rise to the occasion, which could result in a more cohesive and competitive unit than ever before. This shift in Clark's career might also influence how European clubs approach their recruitment strategies. Historically, many European teams have focused on acquiring established stars or players who are on the decline in their American careers. But Caitlin Clark's decision to make Europe her next step could change that mindset. It could encourage teams to look for younger talents, players who are still on the rise, and offer them competitive contracts that rival what they might get in the U.S. This approach not only benefits the individual players but also enhances the quality and excitement of the league as a whole. Clark's move has another layer of significance when we consider the broader landscape of women's sports. It's no secret that female athletes often face challenges in gaining the same level of recognition and financial compensation as their male counterparts. But with high-profile moves like this, those barriers start to crack. Caitlin Clark's European contract is a signal that female athletes can command significant deals and that their talents are valuable on a global stage. It's not just a win for Clark, but for all women in sports who fight for a fair shot and the respect they deserve. From a marketing perspective, Caitlin Clark's venture into European basketball opens up a wealth of new opportunities. Brands that have a foothold in both the US and Europe will likely be lining up to partner with her, recognizing her potential to be a transatlantic superstar. Her appeal crosses borders, blending the familiarity of an American sports hero with the intrigue of an international competitor. For companies looking to expand their influence in the sports market, Clark represents a golden ticket, someone who can speak to both American and European audiences with equal charisma and authenticity. There's also the potential ripple effect on U.S. college programs. As one of the most electrifying players in NCAA history heads overseas, the spotlight on U.S. college basketball dims slightly. Coaches in the NCAA will now have to adjust their recruiting pitches, knowing that Europe isn't just a place for their graduates to consider. It's a legitimate rival for top talent. High school players who idolize Caitlin Clark might now see Europe as an option sooner in their careers, leading to a fascinating shift in where the next generation of stars might choose to develop. Clark's bold decision might also inspire other American athletes to think more globally about their careers. Many players, especially in the early stages of their professional journeys, limit their options to domestic leagues due to familiarity and comfort. But Caitlin's leap into the unknown shows that there is value in stepping outside of one's comfort zone and exploring the possibilities that lie on a different continent. Her willingness to take this step could embolden others to follow suit, creating a new wave of American talent that seeks out international challenges as eagerly as they do the ones at home. This move is bound to impact the broader narrative surrounding women's sports endorsements as well. With Clark's visibility expanding across two major markets, brands that previously hesitated to invest in women's basketball might be encouraged to do so now. Her ability to bridge cultures and appeal to diverse audiences makes her a prime candidate for international sponsorships, which could lead to more lucrative deals for other female athletes as well. Caitlin Clark isn't just boosting her own brand, she's opening doors for countless others in her field. Caitlin Clark's entry into European basketball is like a breath of fresh air for a sport that often gets overshadowed by its male counterpart. Her presence adds a layer of excitement, unpredictability, and pure skill that could elevate the league's status and help it gain more recognition globally. Fans who might have never considered watching European women's basketball will now have a reason to tune in, and as they do, they'll find a player who doesn't just play the game, she transforms it, turning every possession into a moment of possibility. Her decision also comes at a time when basketball as a sport is becoming increasingly international. The lines between American and European styles are blurring, with players crossing over in both directions more frequently than ever before. Caitlin Clark is at the forefront of this trend, embodying the new spirit of the game that is more global, more inclusive, and more connected than it has ever been. She represents a future where talent isn't confined by borders and where the court is truly a global stage. What stands out about Clark's bold transition is her timing. She's not waiting to peak in her career before exploring new opportunities abroad. She's diving into the European circuit while still in her prime, right when her skill set is sharpest and her potential is limitless. This timing speaks volumes about her confidence, not only in her abilities but also in her belief that the broader the horizon, the greater the growth. By choosing this moment to make the leap, she's amplifying her impact and positioning herself as a trailblazer to modern basketball. There's also the strategic genius of this move when it comes to the evolution of Caitlin's play style. Her current dominance is rooted in a balance of scoring brilliance and court vision that defies expectation, but in Europe, the emphasis often shifts to a different kind of game. The European style focuses on ball movement, defensive precision, and less reliance on individual heroics. This is where Clark's genius will be put to the test, as she transitions from the role of a primary scorer to a player who orchestrates the flow of the game. The prospect of watching her integrate that European discipline into her already dynamic playstyle is a storyline that basketball enthusiasts will follow closely. What also makes this move fascinating is the cultural aspect of her adaptation. Beyond the gameplay, Caitlin will find herself in environments that are starkly different from the college towns and American cities she's used to. The culture in Europe offers a different vibe, with basketball sometimes playing second fiddle to soccer's overwhelming dominance. Yet, this could work in her favor, as she's now in a position to grow the sport's presence in markets that might not be as familiar with her name. Clark's ability to draw attention could help elevate the profile of women's basketball in these areas, making her not just a player but a pioneer for the sport's expansion. As Clark prepares to adapt to her new surroundings, she will undoubtedly encounter the passionate fan culture that defines European sports. This is a world where crowds are loud, relentless, and fiercely loyal. The chants, songs, and often unfiltered enthusiasm in European arenas create a backdrop unlike anything Caitlin has experienced in American sports culture. Her reaction to this new energy will be intriguing to watch. Will she use it as fuel to ignite her performances, or will it challenge her to tune out the noise and focus even more sharply on her game? Knowing Clark's competitive spirit, she'll likely absorb this atmosphere like a sponge, letting it drive her to reach new heights. What's also compelling is how this move might influence Caitlin Clark's broader marketability. She's already a household name in American sports, but Europe offers a different platform entirely. The continent is a gateway to global recognition that goes beyond just basketball fans. It's about establishing herself as an athlete whose appeal crosses different cultures and countries. This could lead to endorsements and sponsorships with brands that have international reach, turning Clark into not just a sports star, but a global icon whose influence extends well beyond the court. Clark's decision to play in Europe could also be seen as a challenge to the status quo of women's basketball. The WNBA has long been considered the pinnacle of the sport for women in the U.S., but Caitlin's choice suggests that the future of women's basketball might not be confined to one league or one continent. It opens up into dialogue about where the best players should aim to compete and develop. Her move may inspire future stars to consider overseas opportunities as legitimate steps in their careers, rather than just a detour or an afterthought. The ripple effect of Caitlin Clark's move is likely to be felt in the recruitment strategies of European clubs as well. Traditionally, these teams have not focused heavily on luring young American talent in their prime. But Clark's entry could mark the beginning of a new era, where European clubs actively pursue top-tier athletes with enticing contracts that can rival what's offered in the States. This might lead to a shift in how these teams build their rosters, blending European discipline with American athleticism, creating a hybrid style that could redefine the competitive landscape of international basketball. Let's also consider the educational aspect of Clark's transition. This isn't just a sports journey for her. It's a life experience that will shape her on multiple levels. Living abroad means adapting to new cultures, understanding different societal norms, and growing as a person in ways that extend far beyond basketball. The challenges she faces off the court might be just as transformative as the ones she encounters on it. This period of her life could offer lessons in resilience, adaptability, and open-mindedness that will shape her character, influencing her leadership both on and off the court. For the European leagues, having Caitlin Clark on their roster is like acquiring a prized piece of art. She's the kind of athlete who brings credibility and a touch of spectacle wherever she goes. Her presence in Europe isn't just a boost for the team she plays for. It's a boost for the league itself. It signals to the world that this is a place where the best talent chooses to play, not just where they end up by circumstance. With Clark in the mix, these leagues will undoubtedly experience a rise in viewership, increased media coverage, and perhaps even new investment opportunities. For aspiring female athletes watching Caitlin Clark's journey, her move is both inspiring and empowering. She's proving that you don't have to fit into a predefined mold to achieve greatness. You can forge your own path, take risks, and seek out opportunities that resonate with your personal and professional goals. Her decision to take her talents to Europe is a message to young players everywhere. The sky isn't the limit. The entire globe is. Clark's story is becoming a narrative of possibility, showing that ambition knows no borders. On the home front, Caitlin's absence from the American leagues might create a void that's hard to fill. She's leaving behind a legacy that has raised the bar for women's basketball, and her departure will undoubtedly shift the dynamics of competition in the U.S. leagues. Other players will have to step up to fill that gap, to take on the mantle of being the face of the sport in her absence. This could lead to a new generation of stars emerging, driven to reach the high standards that Clark has set, motivated by the example she has provided. In terms of the technical evolution of her game, the transition to European basketball will likely refine Caitlin Clark's skill set in ways that will surprise even her most ardent supporters. The emphasis on ball control, court spacing, and strategic play found in European leagues will add new dimensions to her already impressive repertoire. It's like adding new colors to a painter's palette, allowing her to create masterpieces that are even more intricate and layered than before. For opponents, this means that when she returns to play stateside or competes on the international stage, they'll be facing a version of Clark that's more nuanced and versatile. As she settles into her new life abroad, Caitlin Clark will also have the chance to immerse herself in the broader sporting culture of Europe. This continent has a rich history of legendary athletes and iconic sports moments, and being surrounded by that legacy will likely inspire her in unexpected ways. From soccer icons to tennis champions, Europe's sports culture is brimming with stories of resilience, dedication, and groundbreaking achievements. Being a part of that environment could light a new spark in Clark's career, encouraging her to push her own limits even further. Caitlin's journey in Europe also offers an opportunity for her to expand her influence as a role model. She's not just representing herself or her team. She's becoming an ambassador for women's sports on a global scale. Young athletes in Europe will see her and realize that dreams of greatness aren't confined by geography. Her presence alone challenges the traditional belief that to reach the pinnacle of basketball, one must play in the U.S. It redefines success as a concept that can be achieved anywhere, as long as there's passion, skill, and the will to break boundaries. One can't help but imagine the impact Caitlin Clark's story will have on future sports documentaries and biopics. Her journey from the courts of Iowa to becoming an international sensation in Europe has all the makings of a compelling narrative that transcends basketball. It's a story about risk-taking, about believing in one's potential and stepping into the unknown with courage and confidence. Years from now, young athletes may look to her story not just for inspiration in sports, but as a testament to the power of going after what you want, even if it means blazing a trail that no one else has walked before. Her influence might also extend into advocacy and pushing for better conditions and opportunities for women in sports globally. Having experienced both the American and European sports systems, Caitlin Clark will be in a unique position to speak about the differences, the advantages, and the areas in need of improvement in both regions. She could become a voice that champions equality, higher pay, better resources, and more recognition for female athletes worldwide, leveraging her experiences to push for meaningful change in the industry. Caitlin Clark's transition to European basketball signifies a transformative chapter that could redefine her career and reshape the sport itself. This move is not merely a player transfer. It's a declaration that ambition and growth don't recognize geographical boundaries. By challenging the conventional pathway that many American players follow, Clark has set a new precedent for what a dynamic career in women's basketball can look like. Her choice encourages athletes to see the world as a playground full of opportunities, not limited to the leagues they grew up watching. Beyond her influence on the game, Caitlin's presence in Europe holds the potential to spark a wave of cultural exchange between American and European sports fans. With her arrival, the narrative of women's basketball could begin to shift, attracting a broader, more diverse audience to the sport. This could lead to a greater appreciation of women's athletic achievements globally, as Clark brings her unique flair and fierce competitive spirit to courts that may have never seen a player of her caliber. For Caitlin Clark, this venture is about pushing limits, embracing challenges, and broadening her legacy as an athlete willing to step into the unknown. Her journey is one of ambition and courage, and as she prepares to leave her mark on European soil, she symbolizes a powerful message. Greatness is not bound by borders, and true champions find their stage wherever they see potential to shine. This is only the beginning of a story that promises to shape the future of women's basketball in profound and lasting ways. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.